And like we've been promising you, India today pays its respects first-hand to the departed souls, General Bipin Rawat and all of the others who were on board that helicopter whose names you will see here. I'm handing you over now to Polami Saha, who's right outside the Chief of Defence's residence, and he takes you through the rest of our coverage. Polami, over to you.
Right, Shiv, we're coming to you live from outside the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat's residence right now, and there is an outpouring of grief over here as common citizens, along with VVIPs and dignitaries, gather in order to pay their last respects to the departed top military man of India. Earlier this morning, in fact, Brigadier Lidder was laid to rest at the Bravest Square crematorium in Delhi. His final rites were performed, and in fact his wife and daughter who were present over there, his 16-year-old daughter, they were quite the picture of bravery and courage as they of course bid farewell to Brigadier LS Lidder, who was of course considered to be the right-hand man of the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. In fact, his wife was handed over the tricolour and Brigadier Lidder's picture, which she of course kissed and hugged in a very somber moment and refused to let go. She was flanked by her daughter, 16-year-old Ashna, and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, who stood with the family like a rock. The last rites, in fact, of Brigadier Lidder was performed by his 16-year-old daughter, Ashna. She was seen showing so much of emotional restraint and courage as she bid farewell to her brave father, symbolically performing the last rites at the ceremony. Ashna was seen kissing her father's casket yesterday at the Palam airport, where his mortal remains were kept after they were flown down from the Sulur air base in Tamil Nadu to Delhi.
He was larger than life. Everybody knows that. मतलब आप देख ही रहे हैं कितने लोग फेवल में आए. बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा persona था उनका. बहुत दोस्त थे, बहुत प्यार बांटते थे. So probably that is why people are also mourning my loss. But we must give him a good farewell, a smiling send-off. I'm a soldier's wife. I have nothing more to say. गर्व से ज़्यादा तो दुख है. लाइफ बहुत लंबी है हमें काटने के लिए, but whatever. अब अगर भगवान को यही मंजूर है तो फिर हम इसके साथ ही जिएंगे. This is not the way we wanted him back, but if it was not to be, then I don't know. He was a very good father, very good father. My child will really miss him. So it's a big loss.
सब कुछ याद आता है. But जैसे मेरी मम्मी ने बोला कि I'm going to be 17, तो 17 years वो जो हमारे साथ थे, जितनी यादें उनको साथ लेके ही चल रहे हैं और अच्छी यादें ही साथ लेके चलेंगे. I am happy he didn't have to suffer. It's a national loss. My father, मेरे पापा हीरो थे, मेरे बेस्ट फ्रेंड थे, और अभी बहुत लोग हैं तो इतना गम महसूस नहीं हो रहा. जब लोग नहीं भी होंगे इतना गम महसूस नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो इतने खुश मिजाज इंसान थे. और maybe it's destined and better things will come our way. मेरे पापा मेरे में नहीं सब में जोश भरते थे और सबसे बड़े मोटिवेटर थे वो मेरे. और मुझे याद है जब मैं 5 साल की थी, मैंने पापा को देख के एक बार बोला कि आप मेरी हर बात मानते हो ना, क्योंकि वो मेरी हर बात मानते थे. And I'm scared because I was very pampered by my father.
So you heard over there the wife and daughter of Brigadier LS Lidder, who paid their final respects and bid farewell to Brigadier Lidder at the Bravest Square crematorium earlier this morning in Delhi. Ashna there, absolutely restraintful as she speaks of her father, of course choking and holding back tears over there. Aishwarya Paliwal, my colleague, was there at the Bravest Square crematorium. She is in fact joining me from that very location. Aishwarya, it must have been absolutely heartbreaking for you to watch those scenes as they happened this morning. Everyone coming in to pay their tributes, everyone across the nation feeling a sense of personal loss over this tragedy, but something possibly heartbreaking to see as Ashna and her mother paid their final goodbye to Brigadier LS Lidder.
Well, definitely, Paulamy. You know, I am here at the cremation ground, and this is where everyone paid their last respect to Brigadier Lidder. And we did see the family coming out. From what we also saw was the way in which Defence Minister Rajnath Singh was holding the family. He was giving them strength, because strength is something which they really need. Now, let me tell you an anecdote, Paulamy. You know, the daughter is 17 years old. At the same age, her father had joined the NDA, the National Defence Academy. And at the NDA, he had met Rajyavardhan Rathore, who too, let me tell you, was amongst the first dignitaries who came at the cremation ground, and he was amongst the last to leave. He said that, Brigadier Lidder was a very close friend of his. He was known as Tony in his friends' circle. And in the long note that Rajyavardhan Rathore wrote, saying that he will be missed, he did say that amongst the batchmates, Lidder was a very fond person. Everyone used to like him. At the cremation ground, preparations have been made. We are seeing the army personnel making those last minute calls. The security is in place. From what we understand, Paulamy, the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat and his wife will be brought to this very crematorium around 3:30 p.m. today. That's the gate of the crematorium. The security personnel are already stationed there. Few last-minute calls are being made by certain officers to make sure the ceremony goes on smoothly. We are expecting the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh along with the NSA Ajit Doval to be back here at the crematorium. All of them were here when the cremation of Brigadier Lidder took place. They will be back. A very somber mood here at the crematorium, but last-minute preparations are at the moment underway. This is not just a loss for the family. We just heard the daughter speaking. She said, "My father was my hero," and that's the emotion that most Fauji kids have. For them, their fathers, their brothers are their hero, and this is a big national loss, Paulamy, because no one expected this. You remember in the newsroom, we were all hoping and praying. Everyone was keeping their fingers crossed as the news was trickling in. People were hopeful that there is a possibility we might see people survive this. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But yes, in the next couple of hours, we will see the nation bid goodbye to the CDS General Bipin Rawat. Paulamy.
Right, absolutely. It's absolutely heartbreaking to watch those visuals from Brass Crematorium. Ashna there saying that her father was her hero, and just imagine the loss that she's feeling right now, a loss that she will have to bear with her for an entire lifetime. Joining me on this very special broadcast and our rolling coverage of this very tragic incident that took place in Tamil Nadu just a couple of days ago, our Group Captain Amitabh Ranjan and Air Marshal Anil Chopra. Group Captain Amitabh Ranjan, you've flown the same very helicopter. What possibly could have gone wrong? I'm not asking you to draw any sort of conclusions. I do understand that it's a matter of investigation. But from everything that you've heard, sir, from everything that you've learned so far, possibly, how do you put into words this very tragic accident that India is still grappling with in terms of trying to come to terms with, sir?
To start off with, I just bid farewell to one of my very dear co-mates, Brigadier Lidder. And yes, I have flown this type, all the series of the MI helicopters while I was in service with the Indian Air Force for about 29 years. At the outset, as everybody has been concluding that the aircraft has entered bad weather voluntarily, I beg to disagree from most of the experts that way, because no sane pilot, no trained pilot with a fully serviceable machine and with a high-level dignitary on board will, and without even a high-level dignitary on board, will attempt to enter bad weather in the hills at any given time. So, as far as my opinion goes, and what I can make out from all the visuals which have been bombarded on us for the last couple of days, it appears that the aircraft had some kind of emergency, or the crew were not in control of the helicopter. And the helicopter landed up entering a severe weather phenomena where visibility was almost negligible. and they have subsequently hit the terrain. So it may appear that the aircraft has flown into ground, but apparently the helicopter was beyond the control of the crew, and they landed up hitting the ground because of that.
Right, sir. It's an extremely tragic accident, and to hear the families, the loved ones of the deceased speak of it, absolutely unimaginable. It's extremely sad to hear them. Let's listen in just once again to Brigadier L.S. Lidder's wife and his absolutely brave 16-year-old daughter.
He was larger than life, everybody knows that. मतलब आप देख ही रहे हैं कितने लोग फेवल में आए हैं. बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा पर्सोना था उनका, बहुत दोस्त थे, बहुत प्यार बांटते थे. So probably that is why people are also mourning my loss. But we must give him a good farewell, a smiling send-off. I'm a soldier's wife. I have nothing more to say. गर्व से ज़्यादा तो दुख है. लाइफ बहुत लंबी है हमें काटने के लिए, but whatever. अब अगर भगवान को यही मंजूर है तो फिर हम इसके साथ ही जिएंगे. This is not the way we wanted him back, but if it was not to be, then I don't know. He was a very good father, very good father. My child will really miss him. So it's a big loss.
सब कुछ याद आता है. But जैसे मेरी मम्मी ने बोला कि I'm going to be 17, तो 17 years वो जो हमारे साथ थे, जितनी यादें उनको साथ लेके ही चल रहे हैं, और अच्छी यादें ही साथ लेके चलेंगे. I am happy he didn't have to suffer. It's a national loss. My father, मेरे पापा हीरो थे, मेरे बेस्ट फ्रेंड थे, और अभी बहुत लोग हैं तो इतना गम महसूस नहीं हो रहा. जब लोग नहीं भी होंगे इतना गम महसूस नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो इतने खुशमिजाज इंसान थे, और maybe it's destined and better things will come our way. मेरे पापा मेरे में ही नहीं, सब में जोश भरते थे, और सबसे बड़े मोटिवेटर थे वो मेरे. और मुझे याद है जब मैं 5 साल की थी, मैंने पापा को देख के एक बार बोला कि आप मेरी हर बात मानते हो ना, क्योंकि वो मेरी हर बात मानते थे. and I'm scared because I was very pampered by my father.
It's absolutely unbearable and unimaginary, in fact, what that little girl is going through just in her formative years, when she, as she says, she possibly needed her best friend, her father, to be beside her, to hold her hand, and then, of course, show her into her future. Air Marshal, in fact, Air Marshal Anil Chopra is now joining us right now. Sir, I'm standing outside the CDS's residence at the moment, and the kind of visuals that have been seeing behind me, all of this this morning, honestly, I've been just choking, just looking at the outpouring of support, the outpouring of grief that's both visible over here from the common citizenry and, of course, the dignitaries who are coming in to pay their respects. I can't just imagine what the two daughters of CDS General Bipin Rawat and Mrs. Madhulika Rawat are going through at the moment, given that they've lost both their parents in one tragic accident, sir. How much of a loss is this, sir?
Follow me, I must say it's a very, very solemn moment. You know, when you just showed Mrs. Lidder and the daughter speaking, you know, even a hardened soldier like me had wet eyes. You know, and entire country is really touched by, and I so greatly appreciated when Mrs. Lidder said she's a Fauji's wife, and she had her composure, right? And, you know, I must tell you that I've been watching the visuals since yesterday. The two daughters of General Rawat, their body language, their composure, even they were wearing masks. You could see through their eyes. They are in grief, but they are telling the nation that they are proud of the father, the great father, who had served this country right from his young days, had tough postings, an infantryman who had been all over the country, all across all the borders, had been in senior positions both in the Eastern and Western Front, and now was the head of the family of the armed forces. And I must tell you, It's indeed a very touching moment. But we are today, Fauji's who are watching this, are very proud of these women, the way they have kept their composure. And they are telling the world that we are tough. You know, the families have lived a very tough life themselves, you know, as they grew up. But remember, you know, the Fauji's don't die, वो अमर हो जाते हैं. और फेमस सेइंग शहीदों की चिताओं पर लगेंगे हर वर्ष मेले, वतन पे मरने वालों का यही बाकी निशान होगा. You know, the kind of you know, farewell that that's being given by the country led by the president, the prime minister, you know, yesterday and today. You know, this is the most important thing for a Fauji, is the kind of farewell one gets for the sacrifice that he makes, you know, for the country in peace or war. And that is what the visuals we are saying. Irrespective, you know, the entire country, the political leadership, the military brass, the foreign dignitaries, the attaches, everybody, and the kind of condolences we have received from across the world. It just shows the kind of respect that General Rawat and these great soldiers had from all over the world. So I am in many ways sad, but also I'm very proud the way the nation is doing such a fitting farewell. And we are all watching the visuals from General Rawat's residence. You know, the family is mourning, but everybody is coming to hold their hand.
The entire nation is proud of those two girls and, of course, those who have left us behind. The kind of contribution that they made, we are proud of that. We, of course, salute them for that, and we thank them for the services to the nation. We're getting some breaking news that's coming in at the moment as well from the Indian Air Force, in fact. What the Indian Air Force has just tweeted and said, in fact, is that the IAF has constituted a tri-service court of inquiry to investigate the cause of the tragic helicopter accident on the 8th of December 2021. The inquiry would be completed expeditiously and facts brought out. Till then, to respect the dignity of the deceased, uninformed speculation may be avoided. My colleague Shiv Arur is, of course, joining me on this. Shiv, the IF realizes that there are a lot of people, the entire nation in fact is anxious to get answers as to what exactly happened. Why did we lose 13 of our top military officers? What happened exactly? But the IF, of course, saying that please exercise restraint. We've ordered an inquiry and we will have the facts before us as soon as possible.
And I'm very glad that the Indian Air Force has made this, you know, put out this very important message, Polomi, because this comes right on the back of certain political leaders from different political parties actually casting aspersions and raising doubts about the nature of the accident, you know, hinting at sabotage and making extremely irresponsible comments about the nature of the inquiry and the circumstances surrounding this accident. And that's the reason why the Indian Air Force, I'm sensing, has felt compelled to put out a stern message saying, don't you know, make uninformed speculation about this. We have got this. We are a professional institution. We have instituted a tri-service inquiry, which is a story that we broke yesterday, Polomi, where an Air Marshal who is the training command chief, Manvendra Singh, Air Marshal Manvendra Singh, who is the Air Officer Commanding in Chief of the Air Force Training Command in Bengaluru, has already begun this court of inquiry. It's going to be a tri-service inquiry with members of the Army and the Navy also involved, Polomi. But given in this democracy where a lot of people make very uninformed and speculative you know, comments about this, that's the reason why the Indian Air Force has felt compelled to actually come in and try and send out a stern message saying, please, this is a tragedy that we are trying to investigate. Please don't shoot off the hip, don't make off-the-cuff remarks. You know, please try and control yourself. We will arrive at the truth. And those are the people that the Indian Air Force is pointing this message at, Polomi.
Right, so the Indian Air Force saying, please do not engage in any kind of uninformed speculation. This is an extremely sensitive matter. There's a tri-services inquiry which has been ordered, which will get to the bottom of what transpired in the Nilgiris on the 8th of December. Until then, to respect the dignity of the deceased, avoid uninformed speculation is what the Indian Air Force has requested one and all.